Hit it.
Welcome to the Short Horror Beer Cast.
Yeah.
I'm not Peter Lorre. I'm Paul.
Right, and I'm Alec. That was good.
And that's the thing now. From now on, I'm going to introduce the show in a different voice every time.
That's pretty fantastic. That's pretty great. Because you fucking killed me with Kermit. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I was lost.
By Kermit. Yep. All right, so now you know what to expect from here on out. You can.
I love it.
There's more to come.
Good.
I had to add this to my research now. That's like research how to imitate Bill Bixby.
Peter Lorre, he was the guy. God, I love that guy.
Yeah, he was great. You know who does a great Peter Lorre is Billy West. You know Billy West?
Yeah.
Ren and Stimpy. He did Peter Lorre. I forget which movie it is. Maybe from M, where he says, I look like a couple of hamburgers, you know, like, but it's like, it's not really like the Peter Lorre voice that you know. It's like this weird version of it.
Yeah, Ren kind of sounds like Peter Lorre.
Yeah, oh, he definitely does. Yeah, he stole Peter Lorre for Ren. Absolutely. Yeah, and
it's great.
He stole Larry Fine for Stimpy.
Oh, that's awesome. What I think of is the Looney Tunes Peter Lorre was psychotic. He'd like stare at him and start laughing and like creep toward him, and just with this toothy, you know, it's like 3 teeth in his mouth.
So it was the Bugs Bunny one, right? He was the doctor or something. I can't remember. I think
so. It wasn't the mad scientist with the big head that, you know,
okay.
they get drunk on ether and start floating around.
Okay, I'm thinking of somebody else then. Okay, that's right.
This is Peter Lorre, and he's just, anyway, you got to see it. He's crazy scary. It's really good.
The real Peter Lorre is pretty damn scary, too. He was something else. Anyway, so today we're covering Soft by F. Paul Wilson. As we do with every story we cover here on the old Beer Cast, we've each chosen a nice malty beverage to go with it. What do you have to go with Soft by F. Paul Wilson?
Well, oddly enough, I have a can of Soft Parade.
Nice.
That's the name of it.
Nice.
It's a local beer. The minute you told me we were doing this story, I'm like, well, I already know what the beer is.
Okay.
Because it's around here all the time.
Okay.
I've never had it.
Yeah.
It's by Shorts Brewing. I think it's 7.5, so it's kind of got a little heat on it.
Okay.
So we'll see how this goes. It says brewed with blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. That's a lot of berries for me. That's asking a lot of me.
It's a nice little fruit salad you got going there.
Yeah, so we'll see how this goes down. But I'm in it for the show. I'll do it.
Sure.
Yeah, for sure. How about you?
Okay. So I have Unibrew. Maybe you've heard of Unibrew out of Canada?
No.
Okay. They have a beer called La Fan du Monde, which is French for this portable fan of mine. No, it's not. No, it's French for the end of the world.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So thematically, I believe that's what we're dealing with in this story.
Oh, you better believe it.
And so this is a nice Belgian ale, and it's 9% ABV.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And by the way, this is a tribute to our rabid fans in Belgium, because we're big in Belgium.
We are. We're huge.
Yeah. We're either really huge in Belgium, or I think the more likely scenario is somebody in my family has a VPN that they're using.
Right. Well, hello to our Belgian friends.
You say bonjour.
Okay. Bonjour, then.
Yes. That's if we do actually have fans in Belgium. We're going to err on the side of Belgian
I'm convinced
fandom.
we do. Lots of them.
Yeah. Okay.
Because why not?
Why not? I have a very robust fantasy life, so I think I'd prefer to believe that we do actually have a giant fan base in Belgium. So if you like these Belgian ales, those nice yeasty giant Belgian ales, this is a really good one.
Nice. Yeah, once again, you crushed it.
No, you know what? I'm really glad that you didn't choose a non-alcoholic beer, because I was like,
no.
Because when I said the story and you said I have just the beer for it, and I said, oh, it's going to be non-alcoholic. I'm going to have to compete with that. Friendly competition, by the way.
Always, yeah, for sure.
Cheers,
buddy.
Let's talk about F. Paul Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in 1946 in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Nice.
Yeah, he made his first sales in the early 70s while he was still in medical school. I had no idea that he was in medical school and that he's actually a doctor.
That's cool.
That was news to me. So Wilson's first sales in the early 70s were science fiction, but he went on pretty soon to write horror, fantasy, and adventure novels, medical thrillers, and so on and so forth. He's perhaps best known for his Repairman Jack series. His character Repairman Jack is a fix-it man. He's like the wolf in Pulp Fiction. He helps people out of sticky situations, usually outside the legal system. And these situations usually involve some sort of science fiction or supernatural elements, hence they're not being able to be repaired through normal means. He's also known for his novel The Keep, which was made into a movie in 1983, starring Ian McKellen, among others.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. He's the winner of multiple awards for his fiction, has been nominated more times than I've had hot breakfasts. I could go on. It's actually a very impressive career this guy has.
Mm-hmm.
Published in 1984 in the horror anthology Masks. That's Masks with a Q-U-E in the middle, not a K. It was edited by J.N. Williamson. This anthology also contained work by our good friends Ray Bradbury and Charles Beaumont. There's actually a little tribute to Charles Beaumont at the end of the book, written by William Nolan, who was another one of those California guys in that same group. Richard Matheson, Charles Beaumont, Ray Bradbury was kind of a floating member. Harlan Ellison was a floating member of this group, but there was a core group of guys, and a few of them went on to write great Twilight Zone episodes, and went on to publish some really cool stuff.
That's pretty amazing group.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a book called California Sorcery, which has a great little collection of all those writers' works. It's really cool.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's cool. Paul Wilson can always be found in good company.
Sounds like,
yeah, absolutely. So let's get into it. This is Soft by F. Paul Wilson, and this is one of those stories. We should probably begin with its first line, right? Because there's just no way to do it justice otherwise.
Right.
So he starts out the story with, I was lying on the floor watching TV and exercising what was left of my legs when the newscaster's jaw collapsed. He was right in the middle of the usual plea for anybody who thought they were immune to come to Rockefeller Center when poof, the bottom of his face went soft. I burst out laughing. So it's a nice
so crazy.
Yeah. I love openings that just raise a whole bunch of questions.
Like, wait, what?
Yeah, they don't confuse you. You know, these openings like this, they don't confuse you. They just make you want to know what is going on. They're interesting enough, and they make sense just enough where you're like, wait a minute, what the hell happened? And that just keeps you turning pages. If you read other stories by F. Paul Wilson, he's just great at that. He does it all the time. Just keeps you going with these stories. He's really cool.
That's awesome.
So we find out very quickly what the hell is going on here. We're in the midst of some sort of pandemic. It's about a year in, and whatever this disease is, it's causing strange things to happen to people's bodies. People are, as the narrator puts it, going soft.
Yeah.
So our narrator's daughter, Judy, chastises him for laughing at the newscaster. It's a little bit of schadenfreude, I guess, that he has. You find out he's suffering from this disease, but not as badly. And I guess, I don't know, maybe he has something in for the newscaster. I don't know.
Yeah. Really lays into him.
Some eerie speculation about what can happen during a pandemic. And as we know,
right,
during a pandemic, people don't trust newscasters.
Exactly.
Sometimes rightfully so, sometimes not rightfully so. But but there does seem to be a trust issue, and people like our narrator might feel a little bit of glee when a newscaster suffers the fate that we, the audience, are experiencing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
His daughter, Judy, chastises him. We find out that she's a former dancer herself. We should discuss what's actually happening with this disease. What's actually going on here, okay?
Yeah, because it's a lot.
Yes. Right up until the point where we actually find out what's going on, all we have are pictures. Okay, we have this newscaster whose face goes down like this, and our narrator says his face went soft. We hear that the narrator has, what's left of his legs. And we find out that his daughter, Judy, has the same thing. Her legs are kind of just dangling. And they almost look like they're not filled with anything. They're almost like filled with dust. Her pants legs are filled with dust. And so we find out that this disease is something that eats away at your bones.
Yeah.
And dissolves your bones from the inside. And then your body just goes limp. You can survive for a time, but it starts with your lower limbs first and then makes its way to the rest of your limbs, and eventually you're just a rag doll. It's pretty horrific.
Pretty gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bad.
Yeah. So it's a virus that attacks the calcium matrix of bones, he says. So I can trust F. Paul Wilson. After I found out he was a doctor, I was like, I wonder if this is this is a plausible thing that could happen.
If this could happen, I am officially terrified.
You're right. Exactly. The narrator says he and his daughter, by some miracle, have been spared because he says they'll never be the same, but at least they're going to live. So we find out that the disease has sort of stabilized in them. It hasn't progressed any further than dissolving his legs and her legs. So there's this idea that, okay, we're survivors here. As bad as it is, we're going to live. Judy says the newscaster was putting out a call for people like them, people who have the disease but have survived it. And our narrator vehemently objects. He says, no way, they're going to turn us into lab rats. He says he himself worked for the health department. He says, nuh-uh, they're going to suck us dry. Let's address the elephant in the room. We're going to be talking a lot about our recent pandemic here.
Right.
Because he does a pretty good job of talking about what can happen in society during a pandemic.
Yeah, it's kind of like he was recalling the one we went through.
Yeah, and it's
pretty
this
weird.
This failure to trust officials in the health department and something like that, So it's this breakdown of that trust and this breakdown of what's true and what's not true. It's really interesting. So you get the feeling this is how it happens, not with a bang but a whimper, as T.S. Eliot said. So anyway, she says she wants to help people. Judy wants to help people. She doesn't want them to be the only two people alive. And we can obviously forgive her for feeling that way. Nobody wants to be the only person surviving Armageddon, no matter how awesome it might seem at the beginning of I Am Legend when he's the only one.
Hell no. Hell no.
It's awful. You don't want to be the only one around,
No, isn't that like a real condition of humans, that contact and social interaction is mandatory? You need it to not turn into something else?
Yes, and I don't like the idea of having to socialize with people sometimes. I'm not a big social animal myself, okay? But I can definitely see the, just, oh my God, somebody to talk to. I can't believe it. Look at this.
You gotta have that.
Yeah, as much of an introvert as I am, I remember during the pandemic, we would go for walks outside, and you see somebody coming toward you, and just say hi to them. It was just such a revolutionary idea to say hi to somebody and have them talk back to you. It was just wonderful, Yeah,
it was pretty weird how that worked out, where, like you just said, it was all of a sudden, you're very excited to see a stranger.
Yeah.
And say something to them.
Right.
Like, you good? Did you make it? You're good? All right.
By the way, there's an unintentional genre, the apocalyptic fiction. There's a subgenre. They call it a cozy catastrophe. And it's when the author doesn't think things through. And just says, boy, all they're doing is entertaining their own fantasies of being able to walk around naked in a department store,
Right. That's funny. And it's called a cozy catastrophe.
Cozy catastrophe. So, there's a few of those out there. There was a show on called The Last Man on Earth recently, and that was a cozy catastrophe. It's like, wouldn't it be great to just lay in a pool of margaritas,
Okay. Yeah, just absurd.
Sam Harris said recently, how long would it take you to invent the cell phone again, if that were to happen? Or he said, forget the cell phone. How about a needle and thread? How long do you think it would take you to invent that? It's a nice little thought experiment.
It's pretty great.
Yeah,
you'd be left out in the cold on basically everything.
Everything, absolutely.
Yeah, whatever you didn't practice in this life of luxury,
you're
not going to be able to do it then.
Our house here is the place where good vegetables go to die. We cannot raise vegetables for shit. We tried, but it's we get about maybe a 40% yield.
There's a good story premise.
Yes, exactly.
Vegetable cemetery.
Yeah. Free Dirt by Charles Beaumont. We'll cover that one sometime in the future. It's sort of like that. Okay. Anyway, Judy is saying we should, maybe try to help some people and submit ourselves to some testing. Maybe we can, help out our fellow citizen here. And he shoots her down, but he tries to cheer her up. It's a tender scene. It's a nice little dynamic these two have. It's only the two of them. Judy's mother died from the disease. Judy's the only thing that matters to our narrator here. And he says it was even that way before the pandemic. So it's very sweet, that he's held on to her this way. He reassures her that surviving would be a good thing no matter what happens, because maybe they and the other immunes of the world could gather once all the dust settles and start the world anew. It's a nice little fantasy. He brings up his friend George, who, like them, is in hiding. This is hinting at something very weighty in the subtext. The fact that in a pandemic, one might feel like an outcast being the only one unstricken by illness. There's this feeling like I almost want to pretend I'm sick also. In a pandemic, if you're not sick, it's like, what is this guy hiding? He's hiding some sort of secret here,
Right. He's up to something.
Did we endure any of that in the past 4 years or so? Do you remember anything like that? I don't know if I do.
I don't.
He says to her, how about some soup? He says it like it's a treat. And he finally gets a smile out of her. So it is obviously a treat. And I was thinking, is food really that scarce? Or is it the fact that he has to cook it and that's what makes it a treat?
Yeah, it's probably a little of both.
Yeah.
I was guessing it's like a difference from eating dried food like crackers or bread or even chips.
Right, sure.
Something warm in the belly would be a treat.
Yes. So our narrator says the lower part of his legs are, quote, hanging over the edge of the chair like a pair of sand-filled dancer's tights.
Ugh.
It's a nice little horrific imagery there. Now we get a bit of the backstory. He says the disease started about a year ago, hit children and the elderly first, then progressed to everyone else. Mm-hmm. He says with most folks, the disease starts on your lower limbs first, then works its way up. But there are exceptions, like the newscaster, whose jaw went. Then comes this horrific description of how it happens. I love this. He says it starts with a sound that only you can hear. He says, a sound like someone gently crinkling cellophane inside your head.
Ugh. No, that's bad.
Yeah. And then he goes on to describe it.
It comes from the bone itself, from millions of tiny fractures slowly interconnecting into a mosaic that eventually causes the bone to dissolve into mush. Like an onrushing train far, far away can be heard if you press your ear to the track, so the sound of each microfracture transmits from bone to bone until it reaches your middle ear.
That's outstanding. That's so good.
Wow. I'm not a giant fan of body horror, but this is just so great. He says it usually takes about 4 weeks for someone to go from solid human to full-on jello mold. He says, but not him and not Judy. The disease took their legs and then stopped there.
Yeah.
So he puts a pot of water on the sterno, and while he's waiting, he moves to the window and looks out across at George's apartment, his friend George. And he doesn't see George in there, so he looks down at the city street below. And we get this description of Manhattan as this ghost town, basically.
Right.
And he uses that scene of Manhattan as a ghost town to give us a little more backstory.
Well, that alone, just calling Manhattan a ghost town is already a scary thought.
Yeah.
If any of you out there have not been there, the idea of that being a ghost town is terrifying.
I have to tell you, it was right after things just started to open back up. So it was early 2021. Mm-hmm. My wife and I went into the city for the first time since the pandemic, and it was a ghost town. It was the weirdest thing ever. Yeah. We walked around and, sometimes didn't see people at all. Some of the story mentions Rockefeller Center. We have pictures of the place. There's like tumbleweed blowing around. It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
So like you said, if you've ever been there,
it never stops.
No, yeah, it really doesn't. It really doesn't. Even in the middle of the night, it's still got the city that never sleeps, as they say.
Yep. When I lived in Los Angeles, the smog level had gotten better over the years, for sure.
Okay.
The EPA did its work, but
yeah,
there was still some, and it was definitely visible. And during the pandemic, people were sending me photos, and you'd see them online, but it was hyper clear everywhere. It didn't look like the same city.
Oh, right.
There's an island, Catalina Island, way off the coast of Los Angeles. You could see it clear as day.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was really weird. And it was weird to see Los Angeles empty anyway, just like New York. It's just
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Yeah, very good speculation on F. Paul Wilson's part here.
Yeah, for sure.
He's talking about when this thing first broke out, and he says once the theory came out that it was a virus, people just went crazy, and they started rioting. There were mobs forming, and then mobs hunted down victims of the disease. Wilson says they put them out of their misery. Lord knows what they did to them, and then they burned the bodies in attempt to arrest the plague in place. But they didn't just burn the bodies in a pyre. That would be too much work. They just set fire to entire buildings.
That's hardcore.
Yeah.
Let's just nip this in the bud right now.
Right, exactly. Just
holy cow.
Reduce the whole city to an ash heap.
Wow.
Yeah. Our narrator says that his own apartment was burned down. This is why he and Judy moved to this new place that they're in. He says he and Judy showed no sign of softness at the time. So they barely escaped with their asses intact.
Right.
He goes back to the stove. He empties a packet of instant Lipton soup into the water, and he says that means they'll have company soon. Okay, and he's talking about rats.
Yeah,
right?
Gross.
Yeah, he pulls a step stool over to the door and he peeps out the little peephole, and the landing in the hallway is just full of these nasty, nasty things, and their numbers are growing.
Brutal.
Yeah, he's completely revolted by the sight, and so he does a Jimmy Cagney impersonation for her. And you dirty rat. I can't do Jimmy Cagney. I have to work on my Jimmy Cagney.
Yeah.
But he does the you dirty rat for Judy, and Judy's not exactly impressed, but he's trying to keep strong for her.
Sure.
And at the same time, he's trying to keep himself strong as well.
Yeah.
Soon the smell of the food cooking just drives the rats nuts, and they begin attacking and eating each other. And right. And so he says, and that's a good thing. He says, now they'll leave us alone.
Yeah, they're occupied now.
Yeah, a really lovely image. So he and his daughter are eating, and Judy brings up George. She's staring at a walkie-talkie on the table, and that's their means of communicating with George. The narrator tells her, don't worry, George is probably out foraging, We find out, though, he's really worried about George. George usually checks up on them at least once a day.
Right.
And it's been a few days now that George hasn't shown up. So Judy says, what if he went down to the research center? Her father assures her, no. George isn't that stupid. He wouldn't. Right. He would never do that. Then he silently thinks that if George did in fact go down to the research center, he's fucked. Now,
Absolutely,
they turned him into a petri dish, basically. Now we find out George was left completely untouched by the disease, and not even so much as a little toe went soft on him. Okay, right. George spent the early days of the pandemic helping as many people as he could. Oh, and I wrote a little note here. George is the anti-Tuttle.
Callback.
Yeah, he's like a helper. He doesn't make people's lives more miserable. He actually helps people. So that's cool. He's the anti-Tuttle.
Sure.
People who don't know, that's a reference to episode 5. Go check it out now.
Yeah, it's up to you to do that.
Yes. So George had exposed himself to the disease countless times, and he never got sick. Therefore, the research center would just love to get their hands on him. He says maybe George was picked up and brought to the research center against his will. It's another little horrific speculation here. Yeah. He tries to keep it nonchalant for Judy's sake. He tells her, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and check up on George. Don't worry about it. He's fine, but I'll check up on him. Right. She protests. She says, don't go out there. He says, it's no big deal. It's only across the street. My legs are only half gone. Still got nubs. So he grabs a 12 gauge that George had procured for him, and he ties rags around what's left of his knees, and he heads out. Okay. He first checks to make sure that the coast is clear of rats, of course. And now, of course, we get this wonderful description of a silent New York City.
Right.
He says, in a secret way, I was glad everyone was gone. Nobody around to see me tooling across the sidewalk on my rag-wrapped knees like some Skid Row geek.
Right.
It's a great phrase, and it's just, it's amusing, but just horrific at the same time,
Right. I mean, it's an understandable reaction.
Yes.
Like, I'm glad no one sees me right now. I look crazy.
Right.
Crazy.
I love this too. He makes this harrowing journey across the street, and he notes just how nasty the streets of New York really are when you're actually closer to them. Because it's true. It's like if you walk around New York and you just happen to be looking down while you're walking, you're like, well, this sidewalk is pretty damn gross. And then just imagine if you were just a little bit closer to it.
Yeah.
So he finally arrives at George's building, and in the lobby he sees George's bike. And I wrote George because So George is home, which means that he's been there for some time. He hasn't been checking up.
Something's up there.
So our narrator now embarks on another harrowing journey up the stairs. He gets on his ass and he pulls himself up step by step. 10 steps per flight, 2 flights per floor.
Yeah, this already creeping up that way, it's such a tense and scary idea that you would have to do that.
No, you're right. And don't forget, while you're reading this, you already have the image of him with rags around his stubs and the shotgun behind his back. He's just kind of edging up these stairs looking like that. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So thank God George lives on the second floor. But now, wouldn't you know it, the rats are back. And good thing he's going up backwards because he sees them.
You're right.
He gives them the good blast with the shotgun, does a little bit of damage to their numbers, and then they begin devouring their own dead and wounded, and they leave our narrator alone.
Nice work.
Yes, I said that's a scene right out of a Hallmark movie right there.
It is. It is, and it made me think of I don't know if you've seen it, but there was a movie made. It was a made-for-TV movie in 1972 by MGM called Night of the Lepus.
Yeah, you know what? I know this movie. I've never seen it. I know the movie though. It's one of those weird things. I know.
I caught it years ago on some late night hilarious show, and
right,
I was falling apart, man. It's a bunch of, I guess, radioactively affected rabbits attacking this town.
Right. Right.
They're huge. And they storming into town, and they did these great dioramas of this little town so that when the rabbits, they look enormous. They're like huge. And then they're like hopping through this thing. And they're like those rabbits that are really cuddly and like fluffy and
yeah, right.
Long ears and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, they're these adorable rabbits, and they would film them yawning, and their heads would throw back, and they'd insert a big roar, and it was holy shit! It was hilarious, and it just the whole movie was amazing giant rabbits
that is
marauding this fucking town. It was so stupid. It was completely stupid. It was great, and Janet Leigh was in it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, she was in it. It was fantastic. I was like, wait a minute, what's happening here?
Yeah, they had Janet Leigh money, you know.
Oh my God, Night of the Lepus. It was fantastic.
Okay. I got to check it out. I've seen stills from it. I've seen scenes, whatever.
You know, like, don't go out of your way, really. Don't go out of your way. But I mean, at age 14 or whatever, that was the height of hilarity for me. I was like, come on, this is great.
Shouldn't call out work to watch Night of the Lepus.
I think you,
wait for
it's fun. It's hilarious.
Wait for another pandemic and
it's stupid and absolutely amazing at the same time.
Okay.
It's great.
Those are the best movies. You know, they really are. I have to say real quick, just breaking off real quick, people who are very close to me, they don't understand absurdity. They understand it. They just don't get amused by it the way I do. I love non sequiturs. You know, I'll say, isn't that funny? And they'll say, no, it's stupid. And I'll say, yeah, that's what's funny about it, is that it's...
That's great. I mean, it made me think when these rats all attack each other and stuff, and they're just rolling all over on top of each other. I'm like, holy shit, that's like Night of the Lepus. I mean, it's not, but it's what my stupid brain went to. I'm like, hey, look at that.
It's great. So,
but yeah, absurdity's great. It's hilarious to me too. I totally agree.
Yes.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen, attention. There is a herd of killer rabbits headed this way, and we desperately need your help.
So our narrator gets to George's apartment, and the door is unlocked as it always is. He says George would joke and say, who's going to pop in? He enters George's apartment, and the place stinks. And what's more, he can hear wheezing coming from somewhere. Yeah.
God, that's fucked.
Yeah, so he follows the sound, and he finds George, and it is not good.
George was a blob of flesh in the middle of his bed. Everything but some ribs, some of his facial bones, and the back of his skull had gone soft on him.
So he's just a puddle of goo.
Yeah, no, it's...
Yeah.
What did you say? It was the... some of his facial bones.
Yeah.
Not all. Like, what did that look like?
Not all.
That's like...
Yeah.
The eye sockets must have still been there or something.
Right, yeah, something. Even if it's just like half his face, right? It's just not good.
Worse. I mean, he could have just been a puddle with eyeballs sticking out like a cartoon or something, but
right.
There was something left in there that's like even worse. It's like, damn it.
I pictured the cartoon would be the eyes were there and they blink a couple of times.
Yeah, you hear
Speaking of eyes, George's eyes are really the only things that are living about him. And they are pleading with our narrator. They're pleading with him. They flick over to a rack of guns. And the narrator grabs one of them. It's a .357 Magnum. And he can swear George is smiling when he grabs it. Now, you have to realize whatever's left of his face looks like it's smiling now. And then it finally hits him what George is asking him to do.
Right.
And he nearly drops the gun now. Then, this is very interesting. What he feels next is a surge of anger. Mm-hmm. George has helped him all this time. He helped him find a new place to live. He got him weapons. He checked up on him. He probably got him food. He probably, our narrator's been pretty much depending on George this whole time. Yeah. And now he says George had gone soft on him. Now, what do you make of this?
He was his only hope. I mean, he was the guy that was the walking, talking cure. Mm-hmm. He was the guy. And now he's not. It's like that was all bullshit. Guess what? Here's the rug, and I'm pulling it right out from under you.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault, but he's done. He's like, fucking half my legs are toast. My daughter's legs are toast. The whole city's burning down. This is bullshit. You were the guy.
Yeah.
It's weird to point at him and say, this is your fucking fault.
Right.
But you could almost understand that feeling of, not betrayal, but like, oh, shit. Just being let down. Like, fuck.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I had in mind was the end of Cool Hand Luke. When George Kennedy is like, you start getting this idea that heroes are so important to people, but there's a danger of them becoming too important because people are just human. Heroes are just human. And so when he says, you were pleading with that boss, oh, please don't hit me, boss. And Paul Newman says, yeah, that was real, by the way. I wasn't putting that on. Right, yeah, I wasn't faking that. I was really crumbling at that point. Mm-hmm. And that's just, George Kennedy just can't handle that,
Yeah, because he absolutely idolized him.
Yes.
You're my boy, like rubbing his shoulders while he's eating the eggs. Like, come on, man, you got this.
Gnaw on them eggs. My boy says he can eat 50 eggs. He can eat 50 eggs. All right, so here we go. I got to take a sip for this.
Yeah, hit me.
Anything so innocent and built like that got to be named Lucille.
Oh, shit, dude. Good one. Good one.
Again, I add this to my research. And by research, I mean I repeat this when I'm sitting in traffic in the car all by myself.
Well, you pinned that one down. That was good. That was good. My only George Kennedy impression is, I'm George Kennedy for Breath of Sugar. That's it. Right. It's not even a voice. It's just me saying the stupid words. But yours was good. That was like that Lucille bit. It was great. Because, man, they were just flipping over Lucille. That was a crazy scene.
That is a crazy scene. And then afterwards, they are all just completely wrecked by it.
We absolutely have to take a detour here and talk about that shit.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Because there's that scene where you're just like, oh my God, they're losing their shit over this woman. And of course they are. I mean, the way they shot her, it's hilarious.
Oh, it's great.
You know, she's rubbing all over that thing. It's fucking stupid. And they're like, oh, I can't deal. They're like dying.
Yeah.
They're sweating. Right. Whatever. It's all gross. You have that hilarious bit, but then you have the plastic Jesus bit.
Yeah.
And that's just gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Again, I love that whole thing with the hero thing, like that whole dynamic about how important it is to have heroes, but it can go too far. And then his character is so good that it's like you don't have to. I almost want to say, like, the rest of the movie, if you just look at what happens in the movie, it's not really that profound. He's in an egg eating contest.
Yeah.
And it's, it's sickening. It will put you off hard-boiled eggs for about 2 weeks if you watch that scene. But,
2 weeks? Really? That's your line? Oh, because for me, I'm done. I'm
done forever.
I don't eat those. No. That's rough.
Just his stomach is just distended.
That's bad.
He eats, for those who don't know,
he's rubbing it.
For those who don't know, Paul Newman eats 50 eggs in what? It's like a half hour. I don't
remember the
like
time frame, but the thing was, no one can eat 50 eggs.
Right. He eats 50 hard-boiled eggs.
He's like, yeah, all right, watch this.
And he just completely passes out, but he's got a little smile on his face.
Yeah.
And that little smile is key to the entire film, is that little Luke smile. George Kennedy says, that little Luke smile. He's got that, that little Luke smile on his face.
Yeah.
The whole time, every time he gets knocked down, he's got this smile on his face, like, you haven't beaten me yet. Don't worry, you haven't beaten me yet.
That's the whole thing, man. Don't tell me what I can and can't do. You don't own me. I still have a spirit. I have all this.
Yeah, right.
Go fuck yourself.
Right.
Great. I
said, I'm gonna do a kids these days, Mom. But kids these days gotta get off TikTok and watch Cool Hand Luke. You'll learn more about what it means to be a human being.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I know we both appreciate The Hustler, another Paul Newman film. You watch that film too. You know what it's like to be human after watching that film.
Yep.
It's wonderful, wonderful stuff. So let's try to bring it around. There's another movie, very lighthearted movie called My Favorite Year. And it's very loosely based on Mel Brooks' time writing on the Sid Caesar show.
Okay.
Sid Caesar, not Sid Seizure. I may have said Sid Seizure.
Sid Caesar's better. Oh shit, dude, that's funny.
It's like a roller derby girl would be named Sid Seizure.
That's really good. You gotta use that.
I'll use it somewhere.
Oh, dude, that's gold.
But anyway, so My Favorite Year is loosely based on that. And at one point, the main character has to watch Peter O'Toole, who plays this like swashbuckling Errol Flynn type. Okay. But in real life, he's just this unconscionable loser. He's this awful alcoholic, and he's ruined every relationship he's ever been in, and he's estranged from his daughter, this whole nine. But at the end, the main character kind of has this out with him saying, like, we need that hero that you were. Right now, we need you to step up and be a man right now. And so it's a nice little comparison to that Cool Hand Luke thing. It's not as realistic, hyper-realistic as Cool Hand Luke is, but it does kind of sting you a little bit. You're like, okay, I kind of have to be a little bit better than what I was, what I am. I have to be a little bit better. And pretending that I'm a little bit better, well, that's just as good as really being courageous and really being a hero,
Yeah.
So,
okay. So, like, Cool Hand Luke was made what year?
Like 67, I think.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm likening it to another movie around that time. And my point is, at around this time, were a lot of films that were dealing with standing up and doing your best.
Oh,
thing.
Yeah.
The
living,
individual. Persevering, doing this thing, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know what that came from at that time, but it was
in the air. It was in the air.
Like Jeremiah Johnson's a great movie that way.
Okay. I've never seen it. No,
you should see it. I'm not going to carry on then if you haven't seen it, but
okay.
He goes through a lot. But yeah, it was a weird thing at that time. It was a lot of those weird stand up and deliver type. Your thing is going to be done. You're going to see it done.
And you remember Easy Rider?
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson has this great speech where he says, they talk about freedom of the individual, but when they find a free individual, they don't like him.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it was in the air, this idea that, you can be your own person, the individual human being sovereign, and you have your own will.
Yep.
Nobody can take that away from you.
That's
if
right.
you have nothing else, you have your will. They can't take that from you.
Yeah, it's great.
Stuff. It speaks to the story about this whole dynamic of George being the guy who was the stand-up guy who our narrator was really depending on, and there's a little bit of shame probably where it's like, I should have been kind of standing up for myself this whole time, and maybe he's projecting a little bit of that onto George. Who knows what he does? He's got the gun with him and he says, damn you, George. He's pissed off and he fires twice at where he thinks George's brain might be.
Oh.
Okay.
Yikes. As gnarly as that is, it's the one time you see someone conflicted like that and you're like, hurry up and do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Please hurry up, get on with this, because he's in bad shape, bro. Put him down. Do it.
Right.
Hurry up, just do it.
Yeah. He's down there, he's wheezing. And can we just discuss, I love the idea of the play on the word soft here. He's gone soft. On that phrase, right. Because you can mull on that for a long time after you put the story down.
He's gone soft on his ability for hope.
Yeah, sure.
Physically went soft.
Yeah,
bones went soft, and then it's amazing. It's a really good way
it's cool. It's really cool. So on the way back home, our narrator's completely wrecked. for obvious reasons.
Yeah, everything changed.
Yeah, and then he's thinking about George. He says maybe the disease just entered his body and just built up and erupted all at once. It just completely went haywire all at once.
Right.
And he can't imagine the sound all those bones must have made as they went all at once. It's that nasty.
What a weird idea to even think about to write.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so dramatic. It's like, oh my God, that would be awful.
Yeah. Oh. We always talk about on this show the use of sound and all the senses in writing, and this is a great example of like a sound that you're told to imagine. It's not actually happening.
Right.
You're told to imagine the sound of this cellophane crackling sound in your head, and what if all those bones together went? What kind of sound would that make?
I don't want to know. Yeah. But you know what it makes me think of in Stephen King's On Writing?
Yes.
He said that suggestion is everything, because he said, if I say try not to imagine a polar bear with blue eyes, you can't do it. Yeah, and that's kind of like this. Once you think about that, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
What is that sound? It's awful.
Right. Yeah, it's great. So he thinks, maybe George was suffering from a new, more virulent mutation. If that's the case, what if he and Judy got it? He could put Judy out of her misery, but would he have the guts to do it to himself? Yeah. Besides, what if his hands went soft before he could? That's
awful. That's so awful.
Yeah, and it reminds me of Harlan Ellison's story, I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I don't need to explain any more than that title. That's all you need to hear, because that's what that reminds me of. Yeah. So he gets home, and before Judy can ask him, he says, George wasn't there. He says maybe he went and turned himself into the research center after all.
Yeah.
If that's the case, probably never going to see George again.
Yeah.
Judy says she's tired. Her narrator carries her to bed. Her legs are hanging over his arms like weighted drapes.
Awful.
What a beautiful, beautiful line. Beautifully awful. Yes.
Yeah,
beautifully
definitely.
Awful line.
Yeah, it's so heartbreaking.
And then he's thinking now, what if she begins leaving me bit by bit? What is he going to do once Judy is actually going and once she's gone? After all, she's the only thing he has. He arranges her body in bed. Just another heartbreaking visual there. He's arranging her body in the bed.
Like you're laying out clothes to pack in a suitcase.
Yeah, exactly. And so he leaves her there. He makes a resolution in one last bit of defiance here for his character. He says he and Judy are going to inherit the earth, and they weren't going to be meek about it. Little Beatitudes reference there. So off he goes to bed, but he can't sleep. The last line, he says, I lay there in the growing darkness in the center of the silent city and listened as I did every night, as I knew I would listen for the rest of my life, listened for that sound, that cellophane crinkling sound. Yeah, and I wrote, and here we close the book and we turn on Sesame Street.
Yeah, give me something pleasant after that shit.
Yep.
Wow, yeah, that's the end of all hope. That's just, I'm going to go to sleep and see if I even rise.
Yeah, so just waiting every night for that sound to start, because now I know nobody is spared, not even his hero George.
He knows it's coming. It's that harbinger again. It's gonna come. Here it comes. Don't know when.
9% ABV works with this story. You need it to dull the pain of this story for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. How does it taste? Is it good?
Oh, it's a wonderful, wonderful. I love Belgian beers anyway. So I'm biased in that sense, but it's a very good example of a Belgian beer. So,
good.
This is
good.
Yes, and this was Le Fin du Monde by Unibrew out of Canada.
Yeah, very good.
And you were drinking?
I was drinking Soft Parade by Shorts Brewing, and it's not good.
Oh no,
I don't like it.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
Look, it's again brewed with blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries. Now, for some people, that probably sounds like nectar, and I bet a lot of people love this. It's everywhere. It's super popular here.
Okay,
and that's great, and I really, I can appreciate that. But for me, I didn't like one bit of it.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear. All right, well,
it's
this
the
is
first for the show.
I was just gonna say that's good. I'm glad we had to have one because we were starting to look like we were shilling for these people. So I'm glad.
Yeah, I know. And here's good news though. That was Shorts Brewery, right?
Okay.
I have. It's only kind of good news. I realize now it's a different brewery, but I have a different beer.
Okay.
That I have to get rid of that beer. Founders All Day IPA came to the rescue.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, good.
Yeah,
good.
So that's very
good.
good.
Founders All Day IPA. I think we could probably tie this in. You need a beer to last you all day because you want to make it last because you don't know how many there are left on the earth during this
That's correct.
horrific pandemic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of we were talking about the Twilight Zone earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we were doing it while we were recording, but before we started recording, maybe we were talking about the Twilight Zone, and there's that episode about little Anthony, the little Billy Mumi, who who's a little monster, and can erase the whole world with his mind, and so they're trapped in this little prison that this little brat kid made. And at one point, the guy's holding a bottle of scotch or something. He's like, "Well, this is one of like 5 good bottles of whiskey left in the whole world." He's like looking at it like, "Oh my God." It like finally hits him then. That's it. After this bottle's gone, there's only 4 more left, And so that reminds me of that. So you enjoy that.
Yeah. I do recommend that one. It's very good.
Good. From the makers of Dirty Bastard.
Yeah.
What was I going to say also about when I mentioned the Twilight Zone, there was something else I forgot. Oh, well. Next episode.
What, with Billy Mummy or Mummy?
Oh, Billy Mummy. Yes. You know what he's responsible for?
What?
This is a little bit of weird trivia that I know. You remember the song Fish Heads?
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads. Yes.
He was in the band that did that song. I don't know if he wrote it.
What band is that? I
have no idea. But I don't know if he wrote it. He may have co-written it. I don't know. But he was in the band that did that song.
Oh, I need more. I need to know who that is.
Yeah, okay. Let's see.
I'm going to look into it.
Okay, hold on.
So, what did he do? Did he write it? Did he sing it? Did he play bass on it? What did he do?
Let's see. Hold on. It was a comedy rock duo, Barnes and Barnes. Okay, and
that's a great name. Barnes and Barnes.
And so, yes, it's Billy Mumi and a guy by the name of Roger Hamer. Okay. And they were high school classmates. And they just recorded the song. I guess it looks like they co-wrote it. By the way, Billy Mumi called himself Art Barnes, and the other guy, his name is Artie Barnes. And they were twin brothers from the fictional civilization of Lumania, existing in an alternate dimension complete with its own language and customs. This is according to Wikipedia. Make of that what you. I'm about to dive very deep into this rabbit hole, by the way.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. The minute you said that, I haven't heard it in, I don't know how many years, a whole lot of them.
Oh, yeah, I know. Me sure too, but I always remembered that, though.
What's the other half of it? Eat them up, yum.
Yes, like that's it. Yep. Eat them up, yum. Yeah. Okay. Roly-poly fish heads, eat them up, yum. Like I said, on the Wikipedia page, Lumania there's a hyperlink here. And after we wrap, I'm going to click this. And like I said, I'll probably spend the next 5 hours or so.
Oh, you've got your night planned.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to write an apology letter to Shorts Brewing for shitting on their beer.
No, it's okay. No, it's all right. They got to do better. That's how I look
you got it. Yeah.
You got to step
do
up.
Better.
Not a good beer for you, but I would say it's objective as well. It's probably not a good beer objectively.
Yeah. You know what? Jen had one too, and she's like, this isn't good. I was like, it's not. But yeah, Soft was great. That was a great story.
Yes, it was. Paul Wilson, I would tell our listeners to check out his novel Midnight Mass, and I dare you to stop reading after 2 pages. You get to that second page, you're like, oh, I got to keep reading, because he's just one of these guys. One thing after another. You're like, I want to see what happens next, because it's all visual. There's no wasted words. It's all action. It's great.
There's a program on Netflix called Midnight Mass. I don't know if it's the same story.
I don't know. It's a good question. That's right.
Series.
There is. Yeah, there is. That's right. I know this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if it is him.
I started to watch it and was sort of like, it's good. I'm not totally involved, though.
Okay.
I think it's a vampire story, if I'm following it correctly.
Oh, okay. And then Midnight Mass is a vampire novel, so it must.
Well, there we go.
Not must be, but it may actually be. Interesting. Indeed.
I mean, I just recently, like in the last week, tried watching it.
Okay.
It's weird when that happens, dude.
Yeah. All right. I have more homework to do now.
Oh, also, news for the podcast is I am doing my first remote right now.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah.
And
I'm not going to say where
great.
I am, but I am north of the 45th parallel and south of the South Pole. I'm somewhere.
So you're in North Korea, in other words.
I'm somewhere, yeah. But I'm far from home and sending out a signal to all of you to subscribe and follow.
Absolutely. Subscribe and follow. And I'm gonna try to step up the Substack game here, just so you know.
Yeah, because we're gonna start cracking heads here soon if you people don't start getting on board.
Absolutely.
You know, we can only handle so much of this shit.
Handle so much rejection. Can't deal with it.
I mean, what the
Before
fuck?
I snap. Yeah.
Where else are you gonna learn about Billy Mooney and fish
Billy Mooney.
Come on.
Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah.
Great beer.
And actually, Soft was great in the sense that it was scary because, you know, rats and shit like that and bones turning to mush, but the hopelessness was even more scary.
Yes.
You know.
Dare I say shades of The Stand. You know, you get that that real hopeless feeling like, you know, this thing is just going to take us all out and that sucks. You know, it's like, you know, that feeling right before things start to happen in The Stand. Things are just happening to the point where you're like, oh, this is so bleak. You know?
You talked in a previous episode about the character who said, what is the scariest thing?
Oh, right.
What is the most terrifying thing in the world?
Yeah.
And if I'm not, there's something outside that's distracting me and my pea brain is going to forget what I was talking about. Fuck. I lost it.
Oh, okay.
I'll bring it up later, I guess. I
don't
know what I was fucking talking
Next
about.
episode. Well, we were talking about the idea that, you know, the hopelessness of a.
I think that's
disease.
all it was. Is like, you know, running out of oxygen is certainly the scary thing. But
yeah, sure.
So is hopelessness. I mean, to have no hope and know you're doomed is awful. It's fucking awful.
It is. It's terrible.
Okay, that's what I was trying to say. Hey, do you remember me saying that line? I can't make my fucking mind work.
Yes.
Did I
Winnebago Man?
You? Okay, good.
Winnebago Man, sure.
Because I can't make my fucking mind work.
Right, Jack Rebney, right?
Yeah, Lee
Rebney.
Lee Rebney, yeah.
Lee Rebney, right.
We got flies. We got 5 flies. We got 6 flies.
Goddamn flies.
Blinded by that fucking hot pipe. Fucking hilarious. Burn out.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a documentary, I think of like an independent documentary made about him. I don't know what.
Oh, when we talked about the voiceover with Darth Vader being Lee Rebney.
Right, yes, that's right. Which is fucking amazing.
So good.
Yeah.
He's waving that lightsaber on. He says, we got flies. We got
right.
3 flies, 5 flies. So dumb.
Oh, I love you know, what did he say? I don't want to hear any more bullshit out of anybody, including me.
Yeah. It's gonna be very hot. Yeah, I could do a pretty good Lee Rebney though. He's like, that includes anybody, including me. It's gonna be very hot. No any more bullshit anytime during the day.
Perfect. All right, so on that note, I think we're gonna wrap it up here.
Good.
Later, dude.
See ya.
Get yourself a sweet Madonna dressed in rhinestone satin on pedestal of abalone shell. Going 90, I ain't scary, 'cause I got the Virgin Mary assuring me that I